Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us at Google Developers Workshop at Casual Connect. I know it's the first session in the afternoon on the last day of conference, so thank you so much for joining us. And we are very excited to be able to bring you a full day of program of presentations from experts across Google today. My name is Vineet, and as Daniel mentioned, I manage games partnerships in Asia Pacific. I'm here to introduce the day and the agenda, and I have a couple of topics that I would like to address. So firstly, I wanted to share with you the reasoning behind why we at Google are so excited about games. So we see a lot of digital trends come and go at Google, but the shift in gaming market over the last few years has been genuinely amazing. It spells a huge opportunity for all of you as developers. Hopefully, I can illustrate what this opportunity looks like and why it's only just the beginning. Secondly, I'll discuss what we can do to help. At Google, we are a technology company at heart, and we are committed to helping developers build and distribute the best games that they can, and also to enabling developers to entertain and monetize their users. So I'll talk a bit about that. Okay. All right. So the games partnerships team at Google, it works with the games companies across mobile, desktop, and console gaming. It's a cross-platform team and cross-function team which provides expert consultation to gaming companies across Google's products and services for games. And these products include products that you can use to build the games. So these are the cloud products and the platform products. These are the products that you can use to grow your audience, like the Google Play Store and AdWords. These are also the products that you can use to engage your audience, like YouTube, like the Play Store, and we also have products that you can use to monetize your audience. So these are the monetization products, including AdMob, Google Play Store, Google Wallet, DoubleClick, and so on. So let me jump right into the agenda. Today, I'd like to talk about what has changed in gaming in the past few years. I'd also like to talk about what these changes entail in terms of challenges to the developers, and how to go about resolving some of these challenges. So before we get started, I'd like to play a small video clip, and it would talk about what the futuristic gaming used to look like a few decades back. Oops.
Magnavox presents Odyssey, the electronic game of the future. Odyssey easily attaches to any brand TV, black and white or color, to create a closed-circuit electronic playground. Odyssey gives you all the exciting action of hockey and 11 other challenging play and learning games for the entire family. Odyssey, a new dimension for your television, now at your Magnavox dealer. He's listed in the yellow pages.
So this is the future of gaming as it was 40 years back. So we know we have come a long way back.
Magnavox presents Odyssey.
So traditionally, games were built for this dude. So if you see, it was easy to identify who your core audience was. You knew that it was a young male user who would play the game in the living room with pizza and beer, plug it in the console, and just keep playing for all this while. It was very easy to identify who the gamers are. You could see them. With internet, a lot of things started to change. Some things which did not change was how the gamers were targeted. I don't know if you have noticed this, but this is a World of Warcraft Google search, and someone put a paid advertisement there. So way to stereotype your users. However, that was still a few years back. Things are different now, right? Your gamers, they start very early. So there are games for kids. They play with their parents. Parents buy items for kids. Kids cannot leave their iPhones or Android phones or tablets. They also play with their friends. So gaming, which used to be a very solitary activity, is now become more social. So you challenge your friends, you play with your friends, you compete with them, you collaborate with them, which did not used to happen till a few years back. Gaming has gone outside the living room. So now people play games in their bedroom, when they are on the toilet seat, when they are commuting, when they are speaking. Some might be playing right now, some might be playing in the official meetings. People play games everywhere. So that is another thing which has changed in the past several years. This is the last, but I think one of the more significant outcomes of these changes. There is no typical age for gamers. So you see young kids playing games, but you also see a lot of older people playing games. So everyone is playing game. So your neighbor, your friends, your parents, your children, your family, friend, everyone is a gamer now. So what that means, it's a great time to make games. Why? Because the barriers to entry have gone down significantly. You can have a game, you can have a small team, and you can make it, test it, and launch it in no time. And at the same time, the playing field has been leveled because everyone, and I'm speaking especially for mobile games, everyone launches the games on platforms. So new entrants have same chance of succeeding as the established players, and that is why we are seeing emergence of new players, also established gaming companies competing with the new gaming companies, which had not been the case in the past. Third factor, and the biggest factor, that the gaming has become mainstream. So your addressable audience has increased multiple fold. You don't need to make games just for that young male dude. You can make games for kids and be profitable. You can make games for families and be profitable. You can make great games for senior people, and like there is a huge opportunity. But as we all know, there is a catch. There is a huge opportunity, but it comes with a lot of complexity. Let's talk about that. So this is evident, and I'm sure as mobile game developers, as casual game developers, you all have seen this, that we are not the only ones who spot this opportunity. Everyone knows that there are more than 1 million apps in each of the app stores, and about 40% of these apps are gaming apps. So it's very crowded, and it's crowded with a lot of established players. So even if you have a great game which is loved by your users, chances are not very high that if you do not do any promotion, it will get noticed by everyone. And by promotion, not everyone can do, and not every game can be featured because there are millions of them. So it still is about the game. If you have a great game, if you have a game that users like, that is the paramount thing. And no matter what a successful company or an unsuccessful company does, a good game always becomes successful eventually if it is promoted in the right way. But the added complexities, which you did not have a few years back, is that you need to think about the back end. So that is a good side effect of success, that if the game becomes so successful that you have a lot of users, you need to make sure that your back-end infrastructure is able to cope with all those challenges with the new users. You also need to think about metrics. So till a few decades back, no one would know how many users are playing, how long they are playing. But now you can track how many users are playing, what demographic they are from, what time they play, how long they play for, what is their engagement, what is the retention. You have to keep track of everything. The third thing is the platform. So even though if you make mobile games, there are plenty of platforms to choose from, and they all have some of their idiosyncrasies, ranging from the way you program the game, to the way it takes to approve, to the way you need to promote the game, and that adds another layer of complexity. Finally, it's the big dollar sign. So you all need to monetize the games, but it's difficult to choose whether you want to make a game entirely for free, or you feel that some users would pay for the game, or you want to make the game for free, but then get the users to purchase some items within the game. So all in all, a complicated ecosystem. Yet, once in a while, you find someone who comes in, makes it look all very easy. And we have all seen this, that it's an engaging game, but it's also a simple game. Without much marketing and optimization, there's always some game or the other which comes in and becomes hugely successful. However, chances are that most of us in this room would not really get such a miraculous success. So, there's a lot that you need to go through. What is the LTV of the users that you acquire? How much is the cost of acquisition? How do you go about branding your game? What is the CPI? What is the CPA? what is the business model? Should it be free, freemium, paid, paid-mium? How do you go about distributing it? Do you go yourself or do you go with a publisher? What should be the revenue share? What is the uninstall rate? How many users are eventually going to pay for it? So while making the game has become easier, distribution and everything has made it a lot more complicated endeavor than it was, I would say, like 10 years back. However, in all these complexities, there is something which has not really gotten complicated. In fact, it has become way simpler. And it's the business model. So when we started in gaming, the first type of games, they were all paid. So if you want to play a game, you pay. Then with mobile gaming, it started that way, that if you want to play a game, you download it, you pay for it, you play. But then sometimes later, it started to change to free games with ad-supported, then ad-supported with in-app purchases, then just free-to-play with in-app purchases, which is the biggest business model right now. And then you also have some paid-mium games where you pay to download, and then you pay for in-app purchases in the game. Lately, the gaming business model can be compressed to just free and freemium, which is free with in-app purchases to denote most of the game. So while everything else is getting more complicated, your business model is getting simpler. In addition, not only is it getting simpler, we also see that these are being considered as mutually exclusive. So think about it. You have games which are completely free and completely ad-supported, which are expected to be more of a casual game where you would not expect users to spend too much time or care about advertisement, and they will have advertisements plastered all over it. And on the other side, you have extreme cases where a lot of games who only have in-app purchases and who do not have any advertisement. And the reasoning behind that is that any advertisement disrupts the game flow and it's completely unwelcome, which is very true. But what I want to challenge is this established mindset. Is this really true? So we know who the gamers are. We know that they are regular people just like you and me and everyone else that we know. They go to music concerts. They see advertisements everywhere, right? How many of us have gone to a music concert and seen an advertisement, I believe? Like, yeah, I see a few hands. So I suppose we have seen some. When we go to a stadium, right, we pay for the tickets, but we still get to see ads, and we don't really complain. We know entire stadiums which have been branded, like Levi Stadium, AT&T Park, Coca-Cola Stadium. We all have seen that. We don't even seem to notice it. Movies. We go to movies and watch them. In cinema halls, we pay for the tickets. We see advertisements even before the movie plays, in the intermission after the movie ends, and we also see advertisements in the movies. Yet, some of these have done such a fantabulous job that you do not seem to think that they would ever, in fact, Castaway without FedEx, which by the way, was not really a paid promotion, but there are plenty of paid promotions in movies from brands. So, but it was a fantastic promotion. So, what I'm saying is that the business model, it's way too simpler. But what is it that I'm suggesting? So, to be very upfront, I don't have a solution. What I have is a way of thinking. And that thinking lies in not stereotyping your game. Do not think of your game as a paid game or a free game or an ad-supported game. Think of your game in terms of users. What is it that the users like to do in your games? What is it that the users like most about the game? What are the parts that you think you can use to get some viral action or get some monetization action from those users? And easiest thing is that you have all the tools. There are plenty of analytics tools, and Google Analytics allows you to do all of this targeting. When you analyze your users, you start to figure out that you can bisect them in two categories: the ones who engage with the game and the ones who monetize. Typical thinking is that the ones who monetize are the ones who are engaged, and the ones who are not monetizing, they are not the ones who are engaged. But when you start to look at the data more closely, you start to see that there's some percentage of users which are very engaged and they monetize significantly better than everyone else. So these are your whales. You do want to keep them in the game forever. Then there is another segment of users which monetizes very well, but these are probably bored kids or like someone who has plenty of money or who probably doesn't care about spending that much money in the game. They'll come once in a while, they'll spend a lot of money, they'll enjoy the gameplay, and then they'll go back to doing whatever they were doing, and they'll probably again come back like 2 weeks later. So these are the users who monetize very well, but they're not very engaged with the game. And if there is another game which they would rather be playing, they would probably jump ship and play that game. Then there is another side of engagement without monetization. So you also have a lot of users who are willing to grind through levels and levels for weeks without stopping to not have to pay. So these are the users which create content for the other engaged and paying users and not engaged and paying users. So identify those users. And then there is third segment, which we casually call freeloaders. So these are the users, you know, they are not really very engaged. They don't play your game because they absolutely love it. They play the game because they probably don't have anything much better to do at that point in time. So these are the users who do not intend to pay. And these are the users who are not probably as engaged in your game anyway. So what you can do with analytics, you can find what type of users have potential. So you can see whether the users are spending. You can segment how many users have spent how much money in what period of time. How many users have taken what viral actions over what period of time. And of course, once you identify that, you'll figure out that most of the users, in fact, this is the data that we got, that 85% of mobile users never intend to make a purchase. So I'm sure that it doesn't sound surprising, but as we all know that for a particular game, that number is between 3 to 5%. What I would urge you to think about, think of a business or think of a business model. Is there a business where only a few % of users can pay and it is sustainable? Is a restaurant able to sustain if just 3% of the customers are paying? Or if a hotel is able to sustain if only a few % of users are paying? So probably it's not really a very good idea to bifurcate the business model just in terms of paying or non-paying. So what I would recommend, identify the users who you think are most valuable for your games. Create a differentiated experience for them. So if you know that your user is engaged with the game, if you know that there are users who is playing very regularly, but that user is not skilled enough to get past a level, and that user has made a purchase, probably you should be showing them a purchase model, or probably you should be able to ask their friends to send them coins or send them lives in the game. But idea is not to do this for everyone. Do this for the users who you think are engaged. So next thing is pretty straightforward. So you have a game which is being played by a user, and it's a user which is your premium user, and you want to always have them on the game. And these are also the users who monetizing. For those users, when they get stuck at a level or when they need to, show them something that they can use to make a purchase. So it could be number of lives, it could be coins, it could be energy, it could be anything in your game which is valuable. Same scenario. We have a freeloader, which is the biggest chunk of your users. Same scenario happens, the users fails at a level, or the user is out of energy, or the user is out of coins. But to that user, show an ad. What that means, that user is not really offended by looking at that ad because that user is not willing to pay for that item. So showing that in-game app purchase ad is probably a wastage of your user experience. In addition, what I would recommend is do not think of advertising as just advertising. Not every ad is created equal. There are display ads, there are interstitials, there are static interstitials, there are video interstitials, there are gameplay interstitials, there are different type of ads depending on what stage the game is at. There are brand ads, there are app install ads. Do not presume that what you think is what your user is going to think. Experiment. So use an ad network optimization tool. Let it decide what is the best kind of advertising for your game. And what you need to do is to just think about how to make the gameplay more engaging, and not how to think about what kind of ads to serve to the users at what point. Good news. With AdMob, Google Analytics, SDK, you can do all of this with one simple SDK implementation. So you can monetize your users, you can optimize your ad networks, you can also use Google Analytics, and it's like a fairly seamless way to publish your games. So this is what I would conclude. Do not stereotype your game. If you segment your audience very well, you'll be able to retain them on your game for much longer. You'll also be able to monetize them much more effectively over a longer period. Thank you.